right.
All right, we're doing so
And
good
I'm
so far. Fishy Larson. The skies over the kingdom have not been clear since the time of the ancients. Well, that's actually probably why they haven't been clear. It's because of
Yeah,
automation from the
what I'm
ancients.
doing.
The eternal storm they created 2,000 years ago with their automation magic continues to make the world a gray, rainy place. So you're just in England. At the moment, a light drizzle dampens your wings, but the storm isn't as bad as it could be. Okay, so you've got some wiggle room with automation, I guess. Thunder crashes off to your right, somewhere along the coast of the Negative Sea. The Negative Sea is the huge bank of black and purple fog stretching along the eastern border of the kingdom from north to south. Accidentally created at the end of the Great War 2,000 years ago, it blocks all passage to the lands to the east, the lands of the neighbors, once known as the Magisterian Empire. Whether the neighbors even still exist is a matter of speculation, but the mile-high Negative Sea is certainly real. It's like, yeah, okay, so it's a big wall that's very long, I guess. Composed of dense negative energy residue, it could dissolve anything that ventured inside. The plains to the west are scraggly and barren. It's early spring, and new growth is just starting to peek through the tan soil. But you can already see barren trails where death clouds have broken away from the Negative Sea and scoured their way across the countryside. As the misty negative residue is relatively heavy, it travels low to the ground, which is just as well, as you're not sure what would happen if the eternal storm ever mixed with a death cloud. Ominous.
I'm scared.
You land a mile outside Accrington in a forest called the Mild Woods, so that you don't draw too much attention on your return. You painfully pull your wings back into your body.
Ow.
What? By the way, Kai, I feel like this is like the game definitely made it a thing, but I feel like this is accurate to you. Of if you learned how to like manipulate your body, you would give yourself wings.
It's cool. Wings are cool.
While you rest in your flight, your golem catches up to you and stands at attention, ready for orders.
Oh, hey, it's back.
Back to reality, I guess, Tal says, echoing your thoughts. She looks up at the thunderheads above. We should hurry. This looks like it could get bad soon. She nods at your golem. Not sure what you plan to do with that guy when you get there. You think the golem gives an almost imperceptible shrug. Advu volunt Dominix. By the time you and Tal get back to town, it's sunset. The market in the town square is being disassembled for the day, with canopies rolled up and tent poles stacked. The scrawny sheep and heifers of their meat market are being herded down the street back to their pastures, complaining with bleats and moos. Some construction has halted for the day. The tall wood and rope pulley system covered with tarps in case it rains tonight. You haggle with a vendor for a cheap tarp, go back to your golem waiting on the outskirts of the city, and give it a golem a makeshift poncho. By the time you return, the market has mostly cleared out, leaving only Saint Anne sitting cross-legged on a rug, dispensing advice to her last parishioner. The white-robed saint has offered healing and holy visions to Accrington for years, and her aura of holiness is palpable. This is where we part ways, Tal says. Thanks for the adventure. She lifts her pack, laden with whatever artifacts she could get her hands on. You can see old tomes and silver jewelry peeking through its opening. I was going to lose the house, but not anymore. I'm headed straight to the bank tomorrow, not even going to let her touch this stuff.
Not keeping anything for yourself?
You say. Tal shrugs. I don't know. Maybe if there's something left, don't worry about it.
Wait a moment.
Wait a minute.
Oh, wait.
Wait, no, that's fine. Wait a moment, calls Saint Anne. How you need healing, Saint Anne says, pointing at Tal's leg. Neither you nor Tal has been in any trouble with the church before, so you're uncertain how to proceed. You think the saints act somewhat independently from the church. Could she have received a vision of your encounter with the Inquisitor? But Saint Anne has an aura of holiness that makes it difficult to mistrust her. Remembering your golem, you turn, but you don't see it for a moment. You pick its tarp out of a nearby construction site. You think it's huddling under it to pretend to be a pile of bricks.
Ah.
So far, the golem is my favorite. Easily.
That,
So that seems fine. Rather impressive, really. I'm sorry, Mary, Saint Anne says to the plain-looking brunette who is her last client. It is no trouble, her parishioner insists. I think I was done. Then go with the praxis. The plain-looking woman leaves. She looks familiar, but you can't place her. What do you do?
Encourage her to get healing from St. Anne, forget healing, how much she knows about her day.
What do you know?
Just like, you need healing. What do you know, lady? Ask St. Anne for a vision of my future, ignoring the suggestion of healing. No, let's just get healed. You may as well.
You tell Tal. Okay, Tal says. Guess we found something your magic can't do. You'd like to correct her, but it would involve explaining why you didn't heal her earlier, so you don't. Tal goes to St. Anne, kneels, and pushes her armor out of the way of the wound. St. Anne's hand glows, and you see tiny wriggling life in the beams of light that are drawn into it. It reminds you of Vivomancy, but this magic is more impressive in a way that you find hard to describe. Anne presses her hand to Tal's leg and murmurs a short prayer under her breath, and then it's over. It's not obvious how this healing was better than using Vivomancy, but you somehow trust that it is. Now let me see if I have some advice for you as well, St. Anne says. She puts her thumb and forefinger to her temples and mutters another nearly inaudible prayer. Tal, the time is coming when it will be better to reveal everything. People fear what is unfamiliar more than the familiar. With friends in high places, anything is possible. Do you understand? You're somewhat taken aback. Surely Anne is suggesting Tal reveal she is a shapeshifter. Okay, thanks, Tal says, frowning. She clearly doesn't quite believe being open is a good idea. St. Anne winces and puts a hand on her abdomen. I think that must be my last miracle, possibly my last in Ecriton, since I'm leaving tomorrow.
Where are you going?
You ask, again worried this is connected to the Inquisitor. The capital, Anne says. I need some rest. She smiles sadly. I haven't had a holiday since coming here, did you know? Not once.
Well, good luck.
You say, still uncertain as to what is happening with St. Anne. I'm certain I'm out of luck, St. Anne says, but if I never see you again, I want you to remember this. I don't regret being a saint. Not for a moment. Life always comes to an end. All we can do is live it beautifully. You aren't sure what to say to this, and during your hesitation, St. Anne departs.
Alright, well, okay.
Bye. Alrighty then. You then say goodnight to Tal as well. When you're out of sight, you cast a divination to ask whether there's something you could do for St. Anne, but the divination comes up blank. If she is dying, there is no saving her. Increased church relationship.
Okay.
Because you are friends with the local saint, I suppose.
Come on, Golem. Here, boy.
You say to the tarp-covered lump in the construction site, and it rises to its feet and lumbers along with you. Now a tarp-covered lump with legs.
Wow.
You proceed to the home of banker Sarah, whose basements you rent and struggle with the storm doors as you try to conceal all the random artifacts you picked up from the academy. You have a feeling there was a clause prohibiting the storage of forbidden artifacts somewhere in that long contract you signed to rent the place. Working the doors open, you and the golem proceeding into your basement abode. What does it look like overall? I like the idea that there's a clause about it. That's like saying there's a clause against keeping a meth lab in the apartment you rent.
Like, yeah, I guess they are gonna put that in the clause. I suppose.
Yeah.
Alright. Mementos of family. Floor is dominated by giant maps of all the ruins I know about. I use a bunch of quirky ancient junk as furniture. It's between these two.
Gonna have some quirky furniture.
Probably wouldn't, to be honest.
Yeah. I feel like quirky furniture is asking to get, like, SWAT rated.
Yes, not do that.
You have only one portrait, and it is of your mother and father from a few years back. It's small, quickly painted by a traveling artist at an annual town fair, and the general negative corrosion on the air has already caused its paint to fade. Oh, it's just there's negative energy just in the air.
Okay.
But you remember their love for you whenever you look at it.
Oh.
Your room tells the rest of your story through objects whose significance only you understand, placed in cubby holes and on bookshelves around the room. There is the hilt of the sword Tal broke in saving you from a wandering golem. You just turn and look at the golem you have.
Don't worry. You probably weren't related.
There is the brass locket your childhood sweetheart gave you before she was struck by lightning and passed away.
Okay. Okay.
There is the smooth black stone you cut from the first adventure in the ruins of the ancients, the only thing you could find that the church would not already cleared out, which you kept uselessly urging to do something magical. Just looking at it like, I know you can do something.
Okay.
You have at least 30 of these things scattered around a room. That's not really built for entertaining visitors. A single chair and your bed in the tiny adjacent room are the only furniture for the people in the whole apartment. But with these reminders of your past, it is comfortable enough. Increase empathy. One desk in the corner.
The fucking girl that confessed gave me a locket and was like, okay, and then wham! That must be traumatizing.
Yeah, I'm sure it happened like at different times, but imagine her just giving it to you. She walks away.
Fuck. Jesus Christ.
You just look at the locket and like throw it away. It's like bad luck.
Let's not do this.
One desk in the corner, given to you by your grandmother, is reserved for your laboratory. Humble as it is, or was for your expedition to the sunken academy. The random assortment of automatic trinkets whose power you were trying to unlock now seems like nothing compared to the haul you dump into the desk. A whole alchemy set composed of vials, beakers, and burners that you lay out across the desk. The flying serving tray, which lands on the corner of the desk of its own. The dragon egg, which is swaddled in some sweaters. Some rather fancy clothing that seems to augment your glamour magic. The crystal ball from the harpy's nest, which you place on an extra trivet from the alchemy set. An assortment of spare automation parts you picked up while exploring the academy. And, of course, the hefty tomes of magic you found, which will form the basis of your further magical study. Not to mention the golem.
I'm going to call him Geoff.
You had quite a haul this time around. Vos Imperiats Dominix, the golem prompts behind you, still wearing the tarp as a disguise. It occurs to you that the golem might want a name besides just Golem. What will you name your golem?
Oh, I can actually give him... I'm going to call him Geoff!
Oh, you can opt to just call it Golem.
Nope. No. Not because I like... No.
What a nerdy answer that is. Like, I get the automatons. The automaton wizards is probably like the most nerdy wizard, but still.
Here we go. His name is Geoff.
Geoff, is that right?
Yes. Your name is now Geoff.
Your name is now Geoff. You tell the golem, Zerter, Dominic says, Geoff, Vos Imperiats.
I think some of my magical experiments will probably benefit from having another person around.
You say.
And since Tal is smart enough to not volunteer for that, and nobody else in town should see my experiments, you're the perfect candidate for that role.
Ola Kala, the golem says uncertainly, but it nods.
All that can begin tomorrow, though.
You say.
I'm gonna get some well-deserved rest, and you can too.
Geoff seems to shrug. Ola Kala.
I'm pretty sure Ola Kala just means okay.
It stands motionless. Well, maybe it doesn't need any rest, but at least you don't have to worry about it this way. Happier than you have been in a long time, you go to your bedroom. Tiny room just big enough for your antique bed and drift off to sleep. He just stands there in the middle of the room.
Like, I'll rest and just eyes open like, okay.
When you wake up the next day, you're most eager to continue studying the books of magic you retrieved from the academy. Geoff stands ready to help, or at least, it's not doing anything else. Which kind of magic will you study the most? Recall the negation is useful for fights, but leaves behind deadly clouds. Divination reveals energy to you, but may also reveal information about yourself to someone else in the process. Automation creates magical objects, but worsens the ever-present storms. Glamour makes you persuasive in the short term, but wears away your health. And Vivimancy is the magic of life and offers unexpected long-term consequences. I'm gonna be honest, Glamour seems like the worst.
Yes, I might just stick with Divination.
Well, if you had to rank them in like what is absolutely not worth it to what's probably worth it, what would the order be?
Glamour's number one. I mean,
It's glamour worse than negation.
yeah, Glamour's worse than Negation. Negation is really bad. It worsens the ever-present storms, but I'm gonna be honest, there's nothing much worse that it can get, I think. I mean, it could obviously get worse, I'm not saying that, but as long as I keep it, like, tame, it's probably not that bad.
Like, you're like, my childhood sweetheart was struck by lightning from the storms. I'm gonna become an automaton wizard.
I'm gonna stick with Divination. I like that one the most. But yeah, definitely like Glamour, Negation. Vivomancy is vague in those unexpected long-term.
It's wild. It's wild magic. It's hard to tell what will happen.
So then these two are like tied in my mind.
Yeah, one's predictable. One's, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, Divination's fine. I don't care what people learn about me, other than making sure I don't divine like the fucking Inquisitors or some shit, and they're like, holy shit, this guy just used magic on me. I know where he lives.
I know where he lives. I know where his name is. I know what his social security number is. I know what he had for breakfast.
It's like, let's not use divination on like the police. Probably a good idea.
You decide to practice your divination magic. Who or what will you practice on? Can you practice on Geoff?
Who won't be believed that they notice me. The history from these books from the Sunken Academy. This seems like it's gonna have the longest repercussions imaginable. This right here. Like, I'm just gonna single-handedly start World War II.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm gonna phone call Hitler. See what happens.
It's not even that. I'm gonna phone call Hitler with caller ID.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you can also learn divination. Here's the weird part about divination: is if you use it on an item, it just goes like to the next most relevant person in relation to that item.
Yeah, someone's gonna get the information. It's just a matter of like.
The object one feels like I almost don't like the object one less personally, just because you have less control over who's getting information.
The thing I'm scared about with this is like I'm worried that because it did specify it could go to someone else who wants that object and. Who might want to know about the Sunken Academy other than
the neighbors?
The
the neighbors did sink the academy to come back and get them later.
Yeah, it could be the neighbors. It could be the Inquisitors. That the guy that was sent there to investigate it.
That's true.
So I'm gonna stick with the children. This seems the safest.
You're just gonna pull some prank calls.
Pull some prank calls.
You decided that children will be the safest subjects for experiments in divination. That's a bad sentence.
I regret it. FBI.
You use your new crystal ball to cast your consciousness to the playground in front of the school. A group of children are playing Wizards and Inquisitors, a hide-and-seek game, which half the children hide and the other half go looking. The Inquisitor who finds the most wizards is the winner. Although some children play that the last wizard found is also a winner. As the Inquisitors hide their eyes, the other children flee in all directions. You follow one of them, a little boy, into a barrel. The boy looks directly up at you and shouts, "Hey!" Disconcertingly, he says it again. "Hey! You get out of here!" Apparently, children are willing to immediately believe someone invisible is watching them.
Oh, wow.
You retreat from the boy, only to have a similar experience with a girl hiding in a sack of fallen leaves, although she is more friendly. "Hello, spirit," she says calmly. "Do you want to hide with me, too?" Nice. With the aid of the children's forthrightness, you learn much about how close your shrine can be before it alerts the subject. All right. You learn stealthy divination.
That sounds very handy in my field.
Mm-hmm. You're so involved in your magical pursuits that you don't really think to call on your parents. So they decide to come to you. Uh-oh. You recognize the Drummel-like knock of your father on the storm doors of your apartment. You quickly drape a sheet over Geoff and tell him not to say a word. You take a silence as acknowledgement. Your father greets you with a hug when you open the door. "Fishy," he says. He's a construction worker, but he's always been more physically demonstrative than you would expect from someone in his profession. The hug gets some sawdust on you. He could literally just come from work.
Maybe.
You didn't even say hello. We weren't sure whether some great drake was munching on you like a big turkey leg. Rude. Your mother sniffs it in a not quite agreement. She opens her arms expectantly. The convention she would tell you is that a child is supposed to hug the parent. You do. You always do, even when she's at her most judgmental. You proceed to get sawdust on her frilly, shabby dress, which she wipes off with a tsk. Your father looks around at your place. You've got some new stuff in here. So many books. My child is going to be the smartest in the kingdom at this rate. He's always been a clever child, your mother says in quiet satisfaction. You're a bit old to be called a child, old enough to have children of your own, really, but you don't take the conversation down that well-worn path. The real question is, are you going to tell your parents that you can cast spells now? Your parents are usually a bit traditional, and you've maintained peace with them so far only by not revealing the extent of your infatuation with magic, which is entirely forbidden. Here's a decision, Kai. Here's a big decision.
I have great power now. Things will change. I feel more learned to just history. Probably safer. I'm taking a safe path.
Lying to your parents.
Do I do this? Do I trust my parents? I don't know.
Your dad's a big softie, and your mom's loves you but is judgmental. And they're both old-fashioned.
Let's take a risk. What's the worst that could happen?
Oh, here you go.
Oh, by the way, I can cast spells now.
You say casually.
Found some old books. You know me. It's always in my reading.
Oh, I want to see one, your father says. Show me, show me, show me. Your mother lifts an arched eyebrow, but she does that quite a bit. You think it also means she isn't really sure how to react. You think for a moment about what spells might be least shocking. Honestly, each school of magic is potentially alarming when you think about it. Divination is just as worrying in its own way as the black fireballs of negation. You settle on Vivimancy for a demonstration. You place a hand on the wooden frame of the door.
Ligna humilibus, der humilibus, apodiexis.
Could have just showed him Geoff, honestly.
I should have just shown him Geoff.
A small knob grows from the doorframe. You take a large iron key from your pocket and your key to the storm doors of your apartment. Wait, what? You take a large iron key from your pocket, your key to the storm doors of your apartment, and hang its ring from the knob.
Key rack.
You say it, Val. Your father claps. That's my boy, he says proudly. Your mother shoots him a disapproving look. What? Your father says. It's a key rack. What inquisitor is going to chase our fishy down because of a key rack? The other sniffs. They're normally thinner, but that's a good first try. Jesus Christ.
I think it's better that they know I'm trying it, but that they think I'm shit.
Yeah. There's a strain in her voice that suggests she's still none too happy about your field of study, but she's unsure what she can do besides go along with it. The key rack almost imperceptibly begins to twitch, as if the knob were its nose and the thing were about to sneeze. You quickly take your key back. Your parents didn't seem to notice.
Uh-oh. That door's alive.
Huh.
See? No big deal.
You say nervously. Your mother puts her hand on your shoulder. The things you love are always a big deal to us, she says firmly. And I've never seen you smile like that in the past 15 years. Just be careful, alright?
I will.
You say. Perhaps the stern, disapproving parents you thought you had were more in your head than anything. Increased empathy, increased optimism, increased humor.
I think that was big success.
Big success. They think you're real shit.
It's fine. I told them the truth, and they can believe it as much as they want.
After your parents leave, you decide it's high time you visited the market to sell the random artifacts you don't intend to keep. Colorful flags of different trading companies flutter in strong wind above the market square, which is bustling with activity this morning. Though Ackerton is fundamentally a small town, it happens to be the only town for many miles on the north-south road. Wait, what? On the north-south road is closest to the negative C on the eastern border.
Road that goes north and south.
Yeah, I thought its name was the north-south road, and I was like,
At least it's not like Dragon Ball, where you have East City in the west, or in the north, and then West City in the east, and South City to also north.
Yeah. A fair number of traders carrying mundane goods such as grains, dyes, and cloth therefore stop in Ackerton, as do monster hunters and treasure hunters, offering hard-to-appraise finds from nearby ruins. The merchants mostly trade from impermanent tents open at one side, but some wander through the crowd and act as their own auctioneers. Who will give me 50? 50 for a silver ring from time of the ancients. 50, 50, 50, thank you. 55, 55, 55, 55, I have 55. The air is sweet with the smells of cinnamon and curry spices from the south and stinky cheese from the north.
Wow.
A copper haystack-like lump in the center of the market was once a tree sculpted in ancient times, but it has melted centuries ago by a roaming dragon's breath. There's just roaming dragons. It has always said to be good luck, and one of Mayor Koss's projects is to fundraise to restore the tree. You think selling magical items won't cause trouble for you this far from the capital. Many traders out here near the Negative Sea don't ask too many questions. At any rate, possessing magical artifacts is considered a far lesser sin than casting of spells. What would you buy or sell things? Well,
All right.
you have 100 gold. All right, what's all the stuff?
5,000. Wow, I don't have much to sell apparently.
It's at the top is I want to sell something.
Oh, I just got it. Okay. So,
Also, what's the stuff that you can afford right now?
well, anything down here. I can donate.
What's the stuff you can't afford right now?
Oh. Buy some fine clothes, buy an all-black outfit suitable for sneaking around, buy a good set of chain armor, old history book, or True Life of Abraxas. That sounds like something I should want. Old tunic that sellers can be helpful with. Variety of maladies. Malady?
Miladies.
Potion, negation magic, spine tools, spare parts.
What is a potion that helps your negation magic? What, you just drink radiation juice?
I don't know. Drugs. That's what it is. I'm probably gonna try and buy this book. So let's see what I can sell.
You can visit a fortune teller.
All right. No, not the crystal. What?
How
The
is your
flying tray.
How is your dragon egg the least expensive thing?
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Actually, the flying tray is probably something I do want to sell.
Do you have Geoff? Why do you need a flying tray?
I don't know why I need a flying tray. I mean, it's kind of handy for things that are in the air, but still, he's very
Pointless.
pointless and very easy to see, even compared to Geoff.
Also, you have to recharge the damn thing, don't you, by calling lightning?
Yeah, let's avoid that. I think Jeff's like a permanent thing.
Oh, yeah, so far.
Alright, so I'll sell that. Really sell the serving tray? Yes.
You see a merchant with it. Oh, okay.
Oh,
You see a merchant with a fine carriage selling silver and gold-plated tableware, and you demonstrate your flying silvering tray to the man. He is astounded by your demonstration and offers you an impressive sum. You have 700 gold now.
so first off, let's buy this. The 300 gold book. I wanted that.
Okay.
Yep, do that.
You purchase an extremely old book that has a very scholarly dialect of the ancient tongues titled Via Verite Abraxas, or True Life of Abraxas. If you remember, I think Abraxas is the one they worship or something. You suspect that the trader thought it was merely another copy of the Book of Abraxas, but in an ancient tongue. Not so. The Book of Abraxas treats Abraxas as divine, but this book starts very differently. Do you want to read it?
Sure. Abraxas is the most powerful wizard who ever lived, and we would do well to understand his life. It starts probably with glamour magic. Philautia omnis Cleos venenum. Simple words, but Abraxas understood they could be used with different effects on different people. Those who are used to following orders will fall under the glamour spell more readily. I gain more glamour.
Using your expensive knowledge of ancient history, you find you can decode the following additional pages from True Life of Abraxas.
Abraxas traveled north by northeast from Ackerton to the magisterian capital of Phaedra. He came to speak with them of peace, but the magisterians had a curious meaning of controlling the spread of magic. Only the rich were allowed to use it. Their society had very little use for the truly poor.
The magisterians, they're the neighbors, aren't they?
Yes, that's what they used to be called.
Yeah. It continues on the next paragraph.
It was then that Abraxas conceived of the idea of trying to convince the magisterians there was a higher power who would judge them for their sins. This idea was a failure, but could be thought of as a success if we view it as a valuable test run. Learned the ancient Magisterian capital location. That's handy.
That might be important later. Huh. Okay. Unfortunately, that is the current limit of what you can translate, but as you learn more about the ancients and their tongues, you might be able to translate more. Alright, you have 400 gold now.
I could buy something for Tao.
A fine blade.
If I want my friends to fight for me, this might be a good investment.
Yeah.
Let me just...
I'm gonna buy a ninja suit.
Well, I was actually just gonna buy noble clothes, personally.
Yeah. It's not that expensive. And you honestly, like, you have a fucking... What could you sell your alchemy? Like, the alchemy set was a lot, I think, if you don't think you'll ever... If you don't think you'll ever use it. What does the alchemy set do for you, anyways?
Currently I can make a potion to improve my glamour.
Oh, okay.
So it could be all these potions to increase these various things. It might be handy to keep it.
You might get more potions later.
Yeah. Let's just start with the blade. I don't care about my effort too much.
You just go to Tal. I had the option to get you a new sword, but I got some dope ass threads.
Look at this outfit, though.
You go to the weaponsmith, and the old matron helps you pick out a sword that is appropriate for Tal's fighting style. It's a somewhat thin blade, about an inch wide, with thin protruding quillins at the guard and light knuckle guard, all simple steel. Tal doesn't need anything flashy. A steel making without magic is a secret known to few. Steelmaking without magic is a secret known to few, and she knows that. The matron surprises you with an offer to wrap the blade and send a courier to deliver the gift along with your funds and demendals. This is...
Oh my god.
Isn't this the option to make something a gift wrap when you're ordering on Amazon?
Basically.
You agree that this sounds nice and instruct the courier to wait until after sundown, since Tal is probably currently away hunting. Alright, there you go. You're back down to 100, so you haven't even broken into your funds from the beginning of the day.
Let me just double check that there's nothing else I can really want to sell, because I'm not selling the egg, I'm not selling the crystal ball, because this is really handy. So then it's just, do I want to sell the alchemy? Which, I'm going to be honest, I don't want to. I feel like it's a good investment. For now, at least. I can see that I can buy various potions.
You can then... What we're left for is you can donate any amount to the sculpture, buy one of the big turkey legs I was eating. You can visit the seer, or browse some hats.
I mean... I already have a cool hat, though. It's got a feather in it.
You do already have a cool hat. It's currently covering the feathers that are growing out of your head.
Sure is. Buy one of the... I'm the divination person around here, but maybe seeing the seer would be good for later.
Well, your divination is like information gathering. This might be like future telling.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Only 25. You pass through a curtain of wooden beads to enter a fortune-telling tent thick with the smell of incense. Fortune teller is a woman wearing a bronze headdress inset with many tiny zirconium jewels, thick gilt chains in layers around her neck, and a red dress that opens down the middle in a revealing way. It's a costume deliberately meant to evoke the period of Hierophant Alexander, who ruled the church 1,000 years ago and believed all pious people could see the future with sufficient faith in Abraxas. A wooden sign above the fortune teller reads, "All fortunes are the result of prayers to Abraxas and are for entertainment purposes only." Well.
Alright.
The fortune teller looks up from a spread of mystical cards, tarot cards, each of which has a name supposedly signifying stages of a life's journey. The Wild, the Trump, the Start Over. Her deck is not from the time of the ancients, but is embellished with the fantastical drawings that became popular over the years. The Start Over shows a huge negation blast of the kind that would level whole cities during the Great War. "I am Seer Mary," the fortune teller says melodramatically, waving her fingers unnecessarily and emphasizing her slightly exotic name. "Would you like to know the secret of the future?"
Sure, I look forward to it.
You say, "Hit me."
Hit me!
The fortune teller looks skeptical at your confidence, but proceeds. Increased optimism.
I'm optimistic.
Here, Mary deals out 4 Callow cards. Excuse me. 1 across the other and 2 more in line from there. She points to the card underneath another card. It is the Wild, depicted with Dancing Jester. This card represents the Questioner. The Wilding indicates that you have many possibilities within you, but possibly also that you can be irresponsible. In some decks, it is called the Fool.
Oh, yeah, okay.
See you.
Alright. Sounds about right.
Okay, you agree. The points of the card on top of the card. The point of the cards on top of the card. The Cascade symbolizes on the card with an avalanche of boulders. This card represents immediate influences on you. The Cascade suggests that some unstoppable chain of events will soon come to pass. Something you cannot possibly avoid. Rocky times ahead of you.
How can a chain of events be unstoppable?
You protest.
Every fate is avoidable somehow.
Shush! Seer Mary points to the card immediately next to those two. It shows 10 little figures, each offering up a different gift. This card is called the 10 Points, the fortune teller says. It is the position of near future. After the rocky times, you will receive gifts and offers of kindness.
10 of them?
It's not that specific, the fortune teller says dryly. And finally, the Split. The painting on this card is of a fork on in the road. After the gifts, you'll make a big decision that will have a huge impact on subsequent events. Make it carefully. The fortune teller gathers the cards up. The fortune seems to be over. I love how this is just a long-winded way to say you're in a choose-your-own-adventure book.
Yeah, that's all I know is that something bad's gonna happen. I'm gonna get some stuff, and then I have decisions to make. Great.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna be There's gonna be bad, followed. The immediate future is bad, then followed by good, followed by choices.
Who would have thunk? Could never happen to anybody anytime. Would you like to buy a crystal ball? No, I'm not doing that.
I'm interested in learning real magic.
No. No.
Seems like a bad idea.
I'm just gonna bow out of this one. Increased optimism, increased empathy. Wow.
You politely take your leave of the fortune teller while you know she didn't use any real magic. Perhaps the cards are simply food for thought.
Alright, I think that's about good. Maybe I'll buy
Don't want to donate to a metal tree.
Well, I might do it later. I just want to save some gold.
Mm-hmm. You buy a turkey leg.
I kind of want to buy a turkey leg.
Buy a turkey leg. Do it.
Buy a turkey leg.
You see a fair number of people roaming the market with big old turkey legs and steins full of beer. You're not sure about the drinking this early in the day, but those turkey legs look fun. You purchase one. Why not? Alright, there you go.
I got humor.
You sure did.
Alright.
You can browse some hats.
I think I'm good.
Okay. The hats are free.
Are they?
There's no price.
Well, that browsing the hats is free. Buying the hat's gonna cost money.
Oh, let's see what they have. Let's see what
right.
there is. The hat seller gives you a suspicious look as you begin examining her hats. You messed them up, you bought them, she says with a wag of her pudgy finger. These are custom-made hats, as good as anything in the capital. Hey, you have the top one already.
I do have the top one.
Big floppy black hat.
The hat seller has correctly identified me as someone who will not buy anything. Good day, madam. Time to leave.
I knew it! The millionaire begins to rant, but you're out of earshot soon enough.
I'm leaving. I'm done here today.
Oh, that's so funny. You thought you're done shopping for now. Just as you're about to head home, you hear fruit seller Fran cry, "Thief!" You spin around to see a man in drab brown clothing brazenly running off with a basket of red apples, leaving a large gap in the offering of Fran's fruit cart. He easily shoves aside all of the townsfolk who try to get in his way. Fran uselessly shakes her walking stick at him, crying, "Thief! Thief!" until she starts to lose her balance and leans on it again. "Thief!" she cries hoarsely. You think you can tell which horse at the corner of the market he's running to. He'll pass within 20 feet of you. An negation blast is possibly out of the question, but you have other options. If you're subtle, you can cast something without attracting attention. Are you subtle? You're pretty subtle.
I'm pretty good at subtlety.
What choices?
I mean,
Tree tripping.
this has some like bad consequences later, doesn't it? Unpredictable consequences.
I love the glamour crowd halt is literally getting his voice and go, hey!
Yeah, why not? Let's use Vivomancy.
Go with the tree. You see a tree on a grassy island that the thieves will pass near, with one root protruding in a provocative way above ground. If it were just a foot to the right.
Abhorrent munici, lodo futsi.
Footsie.
Futsi.
You murmur, drawing on the energy within the tree itself and mentally inviting the root to come out and play. You try to be subtle about the beckoning motion you make with your finger. The root obliges you, giving a short kick just as the thief runs past. The thief lets out a little yelp as he goes sprawling on the ground, sending apples tumbling everywhere. Townsfolk rush to pick up the apples. The count of 5 rule is an old tradition for judging the edibility of fallen food. Then they return the fruit to Fran, because honesty is always a tradition in your town. 2 of the town guards show up, heavies wearing leather armor, and they strong-arm the thief away. You can see several townsfolk gathered around the tree root, which has returned to its proper place. They seem to be giving it some curious shoves, though it is, of course, immobile now. They didn't notice you personally, but they did see something strange. You recall that Vivomancy has unpredicted effects and may not be the best magic for subtlety. Okay. But the whole matter of the thief's quickly forgotten when a man down the street yells, "Death Cloud!"
So I guess Glamour would have been the subtler one.
Divination was the other one.
That was Glamour. I could yell halt.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I thought I said divination. I was like, oh, are you just yelling in his brain?
No.
That'd be funny.